Kai had never imagined he would stand in the palace of the Glorious Empire. The humans who came here were few, and most were soldiers or envoys. He was only a modest human guard, trained for protection, not diplomacy. His uniform felt heavy in the strange alien light of the palace halls, and the soft hum of hovering platforms made him dizzy at first. He had always thought his life would be simple, quiet patrols on Earth, small towns, predictable days. Yet here he was, standing among beings whose technology bent the laws of nature, and whose beauty and power made him feel like a mere shadow. The palace itself was more magnificent than any human could imagine. Towering spires reflected a sky that was violet and gold, and terraces floated mid-air, held by fields of glowing energy. In the central courtyard, gardens bloomed with plants that changed colors as they moved, flowers that sang in soft, liquid tones. Alien guards walked in precise, synchronized movements, their armor shimmering with a metal that looked alive. Kai's chest tightened. He was just a human, slight, unarmed, and humble, but duty had brought him here, and he would do what was asked. His orders were clear. Guard Princess Lyra. She was legendary, whispered about across the Empire. Many said she could bend the minds of trained warriors or defeat them without a single touch. She was beautiful, yes, with eyes like liquid stars and skin that shimmered with faint light. But Kai had heard the stories. The most terrifying thing about her was her cunning and unpredictability. And yet he felt no fear, not the kind that paralyzed. Only determination. He would do his job no matter the risk. The first time he saw her, she appeared in the central courtyard like a vision. Her robes flowed around her as though alive, moving with the wind that didn't exist. Her eyes scanned the courtyard and then fell on him. A small smile, almost imperceptible, curved her lips. "You are the human assigned to guard me?" Her voice was soft, almost melodic, but carried a weight that pressed against Kai's chest. "Yes, Princess Lyra," he said, bowing deeply, keeping his gaze lowered in respect. "I will serve and protect you to the best of my abilities." She circled him slowly, as if studying a rare insect. "I have heard that humans are fragile," she said. "Small, weak, and easily broken. How do I know you are worth guarding me?" Kai's throat went dry. He could have panicked, could have stumbled over his words, but he took a slow breath. "Perhaps I am fragile, Princess," he admitted honestly. "But humans are also resilient. We survive even when everything is against us. I will do my duty, even if it costs me my life." Lyra paused, her glowing eyes locking on his. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. "Very well, human. We shall see if you are more than just fragile flesh." From that moment, Kai felt a strange mixture of fear and exhilaration. He did not know what trials awaited him, or what games this mysterious princess might set before him. Yet he felt a spark of something unexpected, curiosity, perhaps, or destiny whispering that his ordinary life had ended, and something extraordinary had begun. As the twin moons of the glorious sky rose, casting silver light over the palace, Kai adjusted his uniform and took his place beside the gardens. He could hear the soft hum of alien energy, the faint melodies of moving flowers, and the distant steps of guards. He reminded himself quietly, "Be steady, be ready. Trust in yourself." He did not yet know that Princess Lyra would test him in ways no human had faced before, that she would challenge not only his body but his mind, his heart, and his very sense of courage. And he did not yet know that by the end of it all, he would be the one who changed her world and she might change his. But for now, he was a modest human guard, standing in the most magnificent palace in the galaxy, with a destiny slowly unfurling before him. The next morning, Kai was summoned to the palace courtyard. Mist floated across the marble terraces, catching the light from the violet sky. Princess Lyra stood at the center, her robes flowing like liquid silk. Her eyes gleamed with a mixture of amusement and challenge. "Today, human," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "you will face your first trial." Kai's heart skipped a beat, but he remained steady. He had not expected this so soon. "I am ready, Princess," he said, bowing. Lyra's smile deepened, almost playful. "We shall see." She led him to a bridge that stretched across a vast chasm. The bottom of the chasm was shrouded in swirling storms of violet and silver energy, crackling with unpredictable force. It was not a simple drop. It was a place where gravity twisted, where one misstep could fling a person into the void. Several elite alien guards had attempted it before and all had failed. Kai stepped onto the bridge, feeling its surface tremble under his weight. His muscles tensed. Every instinct screamed danger, yet he remembered his duty. This was not a challenge to show off strength. It was a test of focus, courage, and resolve. Lyra's gaze followed him. "Many fail because they see the storm and hesitate," she said, her voice soft but carrying through the open space. "Do not fear what you cannot control. Control what you can." Kai swallowed hard and focused on the bridge beneath his feet, one careful step at a time. The wind howled and the storm below roared like a living beast. He could feel the bridge shift and sway as though it wanted to throw him off balance. He reminded himself of home. Quiet streets, simple sunlight, his small town, and the people who had trusted him to protect them. That memory steadied him. He imagined their faces, their trust, their hope. For them, he could endure anything. Halfway across, the bridge trembled violently. Kai's heart raced. A gust of wind nearly knocked him off, but he pressed forward, arms out, mind focused only on the next step. With each careful movement, fear threatened to take hold, but he replaced it with determination. He was human, yes, but humans survived. Humans endured, and humans protected those who could not protect themselves. Finally, he reached the other side. He lowered his arms, heart hammering, chest heaving, yet he stood tall. He looked up to see Princess Lyra waiting. For a moment there was no expression on her face, then a slow, approving smile appeared. "You survived," she said softly, almost in disbelief. "Not many can do what you have done." Kai bowed again. "It was my duty, Princess. I am honored to complete this trial." Lyra's gaze lingered on him, studying him as if she were trying to see into his very soul. "Strength alone does not impress me, but courage and calm in the face of danger, that is rare, even among my people." Kai felt warmth in his chest, not pride exactly, but something deeper. Respect, perhaps, or the faintest spark of connection. He had passed the first test, yet he sensed there were more challenges ahead. Tests that would probe not only his body, but his mind and heart. As he walked back beside her through the floating gardens, he noticed how the twin moons glimmered in the alien sky. Lyra's expression softened for a fleeting moment, almost human in its gentleness. "Do you know, human," she said quietly, "that surviving the first trial does not guarantee anything? You have only begun." Kai nodded, silently accepting her words. He did not feel fear, not in the same way as before. Instead, he felt a quiet determination, a sense of purpose. Whatever trials awaited, he would face them. For duty, for honor, and perhaps unknowingly, for the princess who had challenged him so fiercely. He could not have imagined, standing there on alien soil, that the path ahead would lead to something even stranger than danger, something as unpredictable and powerful as love itself. After surviving the first trial, Kai felt a strange mix of relief and anticipation. But Princess Lyra had warned him. His journey had only begun. That afternoon, she led him to a grand building unlike any he had seen before. Its walls shimmered with a silver light, and strange symbols pulsed gently as if alive. "This is the Hall of Echoes," Lyra said, her voice echoing softly through the chamber. "Inside you will face illusions, visions of your deepest fears and doubts. Many have entered, few have left unbroken. This is not a test of strength, Kai. It is a test of mind and spirit." Kai nodded, swallowing hard. He had faced danger, storms, and gravity-defying bridges, but this felt different. This was personal. He could feel a chill crawling up his spine as the double doors swung open. The air inside smelled faintly of ozone, and whispers drifted from the walls, soft and seductive, pulling at the edges of his mind. The moment he stepped in, the illusions began. Shadows moved independently, twisting into shapes from his past, faces of people he had failed to protect. Echoes of mistakes and visions of impossible choices swirled around him. Each shadow whispered doubts, some taunting him, others accusing him. "You are too weak. You will fail. You are not enough." Kai's heart thudded and his hands shook. He could have panicked, could have let the illusions consume him, but he remembered something important. Humans survive by finding strength where none seems to exist. He focused on the faces of those who had trusted him, imagining their hopes and the small acts of kindness that had defined his life. He reminded himself quietly, "I am here to protect. I am here to endure. I am human. That is enough." The whispers grew louder, swirling faster, trying to disorient him. The floor beneath him seemed to shift, the walls closing in, memories he thought long buried rising with vivid clarity. Every fear, every doubt threatened to make him stumble. But Kai did not falter. He kept moving forward, one careful step at a time, steadying his breathing, calming his mind. Hours, or perhaps minutes, he could not tell, passed as he navigated the hall. He spoke softly to himself, acknowledging each fear without letting it dominate him. When visions of failure arose, he met them with courage. When shadows of doubt tried to pull him down, he reminded himself of purpose. Slowly, steadily, he walked toward the hall's center. Finally, he reached a room bathed in golden light. The illusions vanished as he stepped inside, leaving him alone with Princess Lyra. She studied him, her glowing eyes wide with curiosity and something he could not quite name. Pride, surprise, admiration? You endured the Hall of Echoes, she said softly, almost reverently. Few can face their fears and remain themselves. You are not like other humans. Or perhaps you are more human than most believe. Kai exhaled, relief washing over him like warm sunlight. Thank you, Princess, he said quietly. It was not easy, but I knew I had to keep going. I could not let fear control me. Lyra stepped closer, the soft glow of her skin illuminating his path. You are remarkable, Kai, she whispered. I have watched countless warriors skilled and trained break inside that hall. And yet you held on without giving in to despair. It is rare, even among the strongest of my people. Kai felt a strange warmth rise within him, a mixture of pride and humility. He did not seek praise. He only sought to do what was right, to remain steadfast, to endure. And somehow, in surviving this trial, he had earned more than approval. He had earned the first glimpse of respect from the alien princess. As he left the Hall of Echoes with Lyra, he felt a strange sense of anticipation. More trials awaited, yes, but now he knew something crucial. Humans were not weak. Humans were resilient, clever, and capable of facing darkness without losing themselves. And perhaps, just perhaps, he could show Princess Lyra a truth about humanity that no one else had dared to reveal. For the first time, he wondered, not about the trials, but about the strange bond forming between himself and the princess who tested him so fiercely. The next morning, Kai awoke with a quiet determination. He had survived 2 trials, the Bridge of Storms and the Hall of Echoes, but he knew that Princess Lyra's challenges were far from over. As he walked to the palace courtyard, the air seemed heavier, charged with anticipation. Lyra waited at the center, her glowing eyes reflecting both curiosity and something darker. Testing, perhaps, the limits of his character. Today, she said, her voice calm but edged with authority, you will face a trial of loyalty and morality. A captured rebel has been brought before us. You must decide what to do with them. Kai's chest tightened. He had trained for combat, for protection, but never for decisions like this. The rebel was human in form, but alien in appearance. Tall, lithe, with eyes that burned like fire and scales that shimmered like molten metal. They trembled, fear evident in every movement, and the princess's expectations weighed heavily on him. You may execute them, Lyra continued. Prove your loyalty to me and the Empire, or spare them at your own risk. Kai's heart raced. The right choice was not obvious. Following orders would show obedience. But taking a life he did not believe needed to be taken would betray his conscience. He knelt slightly and looked into the prisoner's eyes, seeing not an enemy but a living being filled with fear and hope, much like any human. He drew a deep breath. I cannot execute them, he said quietly but firmly. Their life is not mine to take, Princess. I will ensure they are safely escorted away, but I cannot kill an innocent life to prove my worth. Lyra's expression shifted, from curiosity to surprise, then to something he had not expected, admiration. Few had dared to make such a choice in her presence. Most would have obeyed blindly, seeking to survive the trial. But Kai had done something remarkable. He had acted with integrity, guided by conscience, not fear. Interesting, Lyra whispered, stepping closer. You place life above loyalty. That is unusual even for a human. Tell me, Kai, do you know how dangerous your choice is? You could fail this trial and I could... I understand the risk, Princess, Kai interrupted softly. But loyalty to a person is not loyalty to blind orders. My duty is to protect, not to harm without cause. That is how I measure honor. For a long moment, Lyra studied him. Then she smiled, faint and genuine, a rarity among her people. You are braver than you know, she said. You do not follow fear. You do not bend to cruelty. Few beings in this empire, human or alien, can claim such courage. The rebel, who had watched the exchange silently, felt a glimmer of hope. Kai extended a hand and gently guided them away from the palace, careful not to alarm the guards. He ensured the prisoners' safety, showing the quiet strength of compassion in a world that often valued only power. As they returned to the courtyard, Kai's mind was calm but alive with reflection. Lyra approached him, her eyes softer now, shimmering like twin stars. You value life more than obedience, she said quietly. It is rare and intriguing. Perhaps that is why you fascinate me, Kai. You are not simply a human guard, you are something more. Kai bowed slightly, feeling the weight of her words. He did not seek admiration, yet he felt a quiet pride. The trials were shaping him, not just testing him. He was discovering that strength was more than muscle, courage more than fearlessness, and honor more than obedience. And in the quiet corners of his heart, he sensed that Lyra was beginning to see something in him too. Not just a guard, not just a human, but a being who could stand beside her in ways no one else had imagined. As the alien sun dipped low, casting silver light across the palace terraces, Kai realized that the moral trial had changed something. He had faced danger, illusions, and storms, but this trial had tested his very soul. And in passing it, he had proven that humanity was capable of something even the most advanced aliens rarely understood: compassion without compromise. Weeks had passed since Kai had arrived at the Glorious Palace. The trials were over, at least the dangerous, life-threatening ones, but the princess's tests had not ended. Now the challenge felt different, quieter, yet more powerful. It was no longer about proving strength, courage, or morality. It was about the heart. One evening, the twin moons of Glorious rose high, casting silver light across the palace terraces. Kai stood beside the gardens, watching flowers that shimmered with soft colors, their petals moving almost like they were breathing. He had come to love these quiet moments, when the palace felt less like a world of tests and more like a place where he could simply exist. Princess Lyra appeared silently, her glowing eyes reflecting the moonlight. She approached him slowly, her usual confident demeanor softened. Kai, she said, her voice quieter than he had ever heard. You have faced my trials, endured my games, and shown courage, wisdom, and compassion beyond what I expected. Kai looked at her, heart steady but chest tightening. He had felt her attention, her quiet interest grow during the trials, but he did not yet understand what this moment meant. Princess, he said softly, I only did what I thought was right. It was never about impressing anyone. She raised a hand gently, stopping him. No, she whispered, her eyes locking on his. It was not just your actions, Kai, it is your humanity, your strength and your modesty. Your kindness even in the face of danger. I have watched you and I realized something I did not expect. Kai's breath caught. The air seemed to still around them. He had trained his mind, his body, and his heart to endure trials, but he had never imagined the princess would say this, that she would reveal something personal, fragile, and unspoken. I love you, Kai, she said finally, her voice trembling almost imperceptibly. I did not expect to feel this. I am not like my people. I am not often moved by anyone, but you are different. You are brave yet humble, fierce yet gentle, and somehow, you have reached a part of me I thought impossible to touch. Kai felt a warmth rise in his chest, a mixture of disbelief and joy. He had survived storms, illusions, and moral tests, but nothing had prepared him for this. His voice was quiet but steady. Princess Lyra, I love you too. I did not know how or if I could ever say it. But these weeks, being with you, seeing your world, your challenges, I cannot imagine it without you. Her glowing eyes softened even more, and a gentle smile curved her lips. You are remarkable, Kai, not just as a human, but as a being who sees the world not only for its dangers, but for its beauty. I feel alive when I am with you. For a long moment, neither spoke. The twin moons reflected in their eyes, the palace terraces quiet around them. In that silence, something shifted, a fragile, luminous connection that neither trials nor empires could break. Kai reached for her hand, holding it gently, reverently. "Whatever comes next," he said softly, "we face it together. No trial, no danger, no empire can change what we feel." Lyra's hand tightened around his and she leaned slightly closer, her voice a whisper. "Together," she agreed. No matter what, that night the palace seemed quieter, gentler. The trials had tested courage, strength, and morality. But love, Kai realized, was the most unpredictable trial of all. And unlike the others, this one required no armor, no strategy, no illusions, only honesty, courage, and the willingness to open one's heart. For the first time, Kai felt the true weight of what it meant to be human in the alien world. A heart capable of love, courage, and unwavering resilience. And as he stood beside Princess Lyra, hand in hand, he understood that this bond, fragile and precious, was stronger than any challenge the universe could throw at them. The morning after Princess Lyra's confession, the palace felt different. The soft violet light of Glorioth's twin suns spilled across the floating gardens, reflecting on the calm pools of water and the shimmering petals of alien flowers. Kai walked beside her quietly, the weight of the previous night's words settling in his chest. Love had been confessed, yet the world had not changed. The empire, with all its rules, whispers, and politics, remained. Guards patrolled the terraces with disciplined precision. Courtiers exchanged glances, some curious, some wary. And even the emperor watched from afar, his judgment a silent pressure that pressed down on the hearts of both Kai and Lyra. Kai broke the silence. "Princess, we have confessed our feelings. But the world does not wait for hearts alone. How do we move forward?" His voice was soft, hesitant, but steady. He was a human, modest and unassuming, standing in an alien empire that could swallow him whole. Lyra looked at him, her glowing eyes thoughtful. "We take one day at a time," she said quietly, her fingers brushing against his. "No empire, no rule, no expectation can change what we feel. But we must be careful. My world is complex, full of obligations, enemies, and watchers who do not understand us. We need patience and wisdom." Kai nodded, feeling the truth in her words. His human mind could not always grasp the depths of alien politics, but he understood trust, courage, and love. "I may be human," he said, "but I will learn. I will understand your world if it means being by your side. We will face it together." Lyra smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and admiration. "That is why I chose you, Kai," she whispered. "You are not just brave, you are willing to grow, to endure, and to stand beside me, even when the universe itself conspires against us." The palace garden stretched out around them, alien flowers glowing softly in the morning light. Kai felt a surge of quiet determination. He had faced storms, illusions, and moral tests, but the challenge now was different, navigating love in a world not built for him. Yet he was not afraid. Humans had a strange power, Lyra had begun to realize. A quiet resilience, a courage born not from skill or strength, but from heart. As they walked, courtiers and guards watched silently, some with curiosity, some with doubt. Kai knew whispers would follow them, rumors would spread, but he held Lyra's hand firmly, silently declaring that he would not let fear or expectation break them. Love was their trial now, and he would endure it with the same determination he had shown in the bridge. The Hall of Echoes and the moral test. Later, as they reached a terrace overlooking the floating city, Lyra leaned slightly against him. "Kai," she said softly, "my people may never fully understand this, but with you I feel free, not just as a princess but as myself. I feel alive in ways I never imagined possible." Kai's heart ached with both joy and resolve. "Then we protect that princess. Not with force but with courage, honesty, and care. No trial, no empire, no danger can change what we choose to protect. Each other." Lyra's glowing eyes met his, and for a moment, the world beyond the palace fell away. Here, in the silence of alien light and floating gardens, they were simply two beings choosing each other against impossible odds. Kai realized then that the story of a modest human guard and an alien princess was only beginning. The trials had tested strength, mind, and morality, but love required something different: patience, understanding, and courage that endured long after the thrill of victory. And he, Kai, was ready. For the first time, he understood that being human was more than flesh and blood. It was the power to endure, to hope, and to love fiercely, even in a world that seemed to defy him at every turn. The days that followed were a test unlike any Kai had faced before. The trials of the bridge, the Hall of Echoes, and the moral decision were behind him, yet a new challenge awaited, living as a human in a palace of aliens, in a world that neither fully understood nor accepted him. The whispers in the halls grew louder. Courtiers questioned his presence. Diplomats frowned. Even the emperor watched quietly, his piercing gaze measuring Kai's worth. Kai did not falter. He walked the palace corridors with quiet confidence, always near Princess Lyra. Though he was human and modest, his courage and steadfastness began to ripple through the empire. Soldiers noticed the way he faced dangers without complaint. Servants spoke of his kindness. Even Lyra's people, who had once doubted him, began to see something extraordinary in the quiet human guard. One evening, the palace gardens glowed under the twin moons. Lyra and Kai stood side by side, watching the flowers shimmer and hum softly in the alien night. "Kai," Lyra whispered, her eyes filled with warmth, "I once thought humans were fragile, weak, and limited. But you have shown me something greater. You are brave in ways my people are not. You see, feel, and endure. You have changed how I see the universe," Kai smiled softly. "I am only human, princess. But humans survive, we endure, and we love, even when the odds are against us. That is our power." Lyra reached for his hand, her fingers warm and glowing. "You have shown me that power," she said. "Not through strength or skill, but through heart, and that is something no empire, no rule, no warrior can ever match." The emperor, who had been observing quietly, finally approached. He looked at Kai, then at Lyra, and for the first time his expression softened. "You have done what many thought impossible," he said. "You have endured, you have chosen with honor, and you have proven that even a human, a modest, small human, can influence this empire. That is extraordinary." Kai felt the weight of the words, but he did not feel pride in the way one might expect. Instead, he felt a quiet satisfaction, a deep sense of purpose. All the trials, the danger, the uncertainty, they had led him here not to glory but to truth. Humans were not just flesh and weakness. Humans were courage, compassion, and resilience made flesh. As the weeks passed, Kai and Lyra walked the palace together openly. They faced whispers, judgment, and expectation, but their bond only strengthened. Where others saw a human as fragile, Lyra saw strength. Where others saw limitations, Kai proved possibility. Together they became a quiet force, an example that love, courage, and humanity could not be measured by size or species. One night, under the soft glow of the twin moons, Lyra rested her head on Kai's shoulder. "Do you know," she whispered, "that your presence here has changed more than just me? The palace, the empire, even the soldiers, they are beginning to see humans differently. They are beginning to understand." Kai held her close, feeling the soft rhythm of her breath, the warmth of her hand. "Then we have done something extraordinary together," he said. "Not through conquest or power, but simply by being who we are." And in that quiet moment, Kai understood the true lesson of the trials, of the empire, and of life itself. Humans did not need weapons that bent light or cities that floated above clouds to be powerful. Humanity's quiet strength was endurance, compassion, and the courage to act rightly, even when fear whispered otherwise. Princess Lyra, the alien heir of an advanced empire, had challenged him, tested him, and now loved him. And Kai, the modest human guard, had faced every trial and stood firm, proving that even the smallest human could leave a mark that an empire and a heart could never forget. Together, they walked forward hand in hand, proving that courage, love, and humanity were forces greater than any power in the galaxy. And in that truth, the modest human found his greatest victory, not in surviving trials, but in transforming a world through heart, honor, and the quiet, unstoppable force of being human.